Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the break for our next installment of Three Roundtable Spooky Spectacular. This is a day-long event where we're going to celebrate all things horror and spooky, themed through the lens of games, comics, graphic novels, and media of all sorts. Holmes, and I'm a member at large for the Graphic Novels and Comics Roundtable of the American Library Association. I'm also the liaison for our annual Best of Graphic Novels and Comics reading lists, which we'll be announcing our 2022 list in January. And I'm hoping that one of the titles we're going to be talking about today makes it should. So stay tuned. I'm also a school librarian here in New Orleans, Louisiana. And today I'm honored to be hosting this event for our Three Roundtable Spooky Spectacular. This event is being held live. However, if you need to leave or would like to watch it again, a Twitch video on demand will be accessible right after we end. And links for all you can find us and our partner roundtables are going to be posted in the chat. As well as a large spooky spectacular resource list. So please go ahead and check those out. For this next section, we're going to be hosting a spooky dramatic reading of the newly published Hollow by Shannon Watters, Branden Boyer-White, and Nelle. And we are so excited to have two of the creators, Shannon Watters and Branden Boyer-White, here with us. So if you guys could go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Right. Hello. We are the co-writers of Hollow, yay, which came out everywhere October 4th. We're super excited to have it in the world. I'm Branden Boyer-White. This is Shannon Watters.
Hi, everyone. As you can hear, I have a little bit of a chest cold, so I might be speaking slightly less than usual.
Yeah.
Branden's going to be speaking for both of us.
I will try to
today.
do the heavy lifting, so there's more talking and less coughing.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in for a spooky time.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have the stream of the dramatic reading, and then after that, there's going to be a Q&A. So be sure to stick around for the Q&A with Shannon and Branden. And for that Q&A portion, you're going to be able to type your questions into the Twitch chat, and then we will make sure to get those answered. And feel free to interact on Twitch during the reading as well. So, and now on to the reading.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to an evening of creeps and frights. This reading of Hollow is a Brand production. We begin on an ominous afternoon in the Sleepy Hollow Historical Society.
Then on Saturday, you will of course be leading the Van Tassel's tour of the Hollow.
Of course.
Then there's the meet and greet with the Society of American Literature at Lyndhurst on Tuesday. Oh, and we just heard this morning you'll have a newspaper interview.
Really? I've been talking to the Independent like every other month since I was a kid. I can't imagine they still think I'm interesting.
No, Victoria, not the local news. This is for a paper out in California, Sacramento.
California?
Human interest knows no geography. It's a great angle for the season. Get to know the real next generation for the classic story this Halloween.
But I didn't say I wanted.
Now, Vicky, we're already keeping you off of our social media like you asked.
But...
Victoria, I'm shocked. You of all people should understand the obligation we all have to our town's heart and history. Now, about the Phillipsburg site's performance schedule.
Glad to know I'll be reduced to one dimension on both coasts now. Meet behind the old Dutch church. 1 hour.
Just an endless field of moldering dead people, Izzy. No big deal.
Hey.
Oh, hey! So, since I know you didn't ask me here to help you out with polynomials, to what do I owe the honor?
Come on. There's usually an admission fee to tour the old Dutch burying ground with a real Van Tassel.
I'm still sensing some serious hostility given that I could not give less of a crap what your last name is.
I know. I'm sorry. I've had a really weird night.
Do you, want to talk about it?
Not especially.
Is all the Van Tassel stuff the reason for the bad grades stunt? The constant style reinventions?
I'm just tired of being pigeonholed. I've spent my whole life in the shadow of a 200-year-old dead girl and her fictional doppelganger. I want to pick who I get to be.
Makes sense. I mean, I'm done with all the town nonsense, and I've been here only a few days.
Well, I didn't say nonsense.
Come on. It's one ridiculous story, and everyone here has gone overboard buying into and selling the superstition of it. Full-grown adults.
That's kind of harsh. Have you even read it?
Yeah, I read it. Your usual English lit antique. And I don't do ghost stories. I mean, you don't actually believe in that stuff, do you?
I'm not sure.
Really? A cigarette? Do you need me to spot you in a drag race at Devil's Pass?
For your information, I don't smoke. Usually. Or ever. Before right now.
There is literal cyanide in those things.
Relax, Dad. I stole it from a purse at the Historical Society. I'm not forming a habit, especially since it makes you make that face at me.
So, do you come to this graveyard often?
Well, I've been giving Candlelight Cemetery tours since I was 8, so yes. I like coming here when it's quiet, though. To be alone. Unless you count the ghosts.
Sure.
Seriously, though, hasn't anything weird or unexplainable ever happened to you?
Nope. Everything can be explained with proof. Why? Has something happened to you?
This and that over the years. It is sleepy after all. But lately, just these little things, like the bridge the other day. And I've had this feeling, like...
Their faces, classic.
Another victory in the books.
Croc! Leon, you jerks!
You could have given us a cardiac episode! Cardiomyopathy! It's a real thing, man!
Hey, that's why they call me the Croc, because I'm stealth when I'm sneaking up my prey.
Give it a rest. We call you Croc because you spent all of first grade carrying around your beanie crocodile.
Whatever, Vic. At least we're not creepily lurking in a graveyard. Necrophilia much?
Yeah, what are you two doing out here anyway? Whatever. We'll leave you weirdos to it. Come on, man. Video games await.
I think I'm gonna stick around.
Dude, what? We randomly see these two on our way back to my place, and now you want to blow off our whole night?
Come on, it looks fun.
Fine, more pizza for me. See you, grave robbers.
I'm over this too. Let's split.
Hey, wait up, I thought we were all hanging out. So, Izzy, we can drop you off and then I'll swing Vicky home.
Oh, I'd hate to have you go out of your way. We can do it the other way around.
No trouble. On a dog like this, you've got to have protection.
That's clearly sexist, and you should challenge that baseless assumption by letting us drop you off first.
Do you guys hear something?
Sexist. I play in a co-ed ultimate frisbee league.
Wow, how inspiringly progressive of you.
Guys! Croc, I swear to God, if this is Leon...
It's not. I don't know what. It's happening.
Shut up and run!
We're being chased by a crazy psycho on a big horse.
You shut up too! The bridge!
I can't believe that just happened. To us. People are gonna freak. We're gonna be town heroes.
What the hell was that?
What are you talking about? We are not telling anyone about this.
What? Why?
Croc, no one takes me seriously now. If they knew we saw the ghost...
The ghost? Ghosts aren't even real.
My life will be miserable. Please, do this for me.
You owe me, Vic. This was serious bragging rights.
He had a smoke machine or something, right? Right?
You guys swore you wouldn't tell anyone.
There's nothing to tell because ghosts aren't real.
He glowed. He got sick hair over that lawnmower.
Trick of the light and our panic. Well-trained horse.
He vanished.
Ahem! Miss Crane, I hope you're not distracting your classmates.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Miss Van Tassel, you're looking peaked. Are you ill?
Never better.
That evening, how are you getting along at school?
Fine. I like my classes and teachers, except for one.
How about the other kids?
They're okay. There's this one girl who's kinda cool.
Oh.
But I don't know. It's too early to tell. To, draw conclusions about anyone.
A girl?
It's more the town, the place, you know? It's just weird.
Corazon, you've been saying that since we got here.
I mean it. Strange things happen.
Strange things like meeting a cool girl.
Jeez.
You should bring her in for dinner. Do you know what she likes? I mean, she obviously likes you, but cuisine-wise...
Mom! Pull it together, Crane. Whoa! What are you?
Heavens above. Finally.
What?
Will Izzy escape the unsettling headless horseman? Will Vicky and Izzy be each other's cool girls? Will Croc pull off the ultimate prank? Find out in Hollow, available in bookstores and comic shops nationwide, or visit your local library.
That was so awesome. I love it. I love it so much. I loved reading it and then getting to hear you guys perform it and the sound effects. And I know Twitch was just going crazy with comments about all the sound effects. So I have to ask, how did y'all was there a special program you used, or?
We had a couple of friends. We had 3 friends that helped us out with it, and we had one of them on Foley duty,
Yes.
doing some live sound effects while we were doing the reading, but we just recorded it on a phone and then timed it using Comixology.
Yeah, which if you're not familiar with Comixology, is this program, you can show one panel at a time. Yeah.
But yeah, just put it together in iMovie. A lot of fun. Love to make fun things with our friends.
Our friend Gavin is played Croc and recently moved here from London to marry his wife, who was our Foley artist, and he was very nervous about not being able to do a good American accent. I thought he did great, but it was very cute. Yeah,
he's
it was great.
And he was like, "Oh man, I need to practice my American."
Yeah.
No, I thought it totally worked for Croc. It made total sense. So
I thought it was he's got little proper elocution. It's nice. Yeah.
All right. So I was wondering, in writing Hollow, there's so much, of course, about the town itself. Did you guys actually go to Sleepy Hollow? Everybody as obsessed as they are in the book?
Yeah, the town's obsession is what inspired us to write the book. We actually went to Sleepy Hollow before we knew we were going to write it. That's the thing that inspired us. So in October 2019, we took a trip just for fun, and the rest of the year it is, pardon the pun, a sleepy upstate town, but in October it blows up, just with tourism and all these events year round. The town is just this homage to the story. They're incredibly proud of it. They've really thrown their arms around it, and so a lot of lines from the book, or even images from the book, Izzy's complaining to her mom at one point early on when they first moved there, like, the fire trucks are black and orange and he's on the side of the ambulance, he meaning the headless horseman. And it's true, there's just so much so much of the town is an homage to this incredible legend and this super fun ghost. So yeah, we tried to integrate as much of the actual town as it is today into the story and the art as we could.
That's awesome. And we have a question from Twitch. What drew you to retell the story of Sleepy Hollow, of the legend of Ichabod Crane?
I mean, for me, it's like my long-standing love of it. I grew up loving the story from watching the Disney version, the Bing Crosby narrated one that we all know and love. And strangely enough, there's a great it's not even stop motion animation. It's just like somebody took pictures of the art and a little bit of the art moves. It's by Rabbit Ears. We had a VHS of it. It's a Rabbit Ears production, and it's narrated by Glenn Close. So those are the two versions that I grew up watching. And I started collecting Headless Horseman stuff when I was a teenager. And then I got into this relationship with Shannon, who is like, I fully support how much you love this legend and this story. And I reread it every October, the Washington Irving version. And so I think it's such a fun story to adapt. There's been so many great adaptations, and it's so fun, and such a thrill and an honor to like kind of throw our hat into the adaptation, throw a hat into a pool. It's a terrible mixed metaphor, but you know what I mean.
We really it was kind of, we had the idea for the angle of Hollow, the sort of twist that you guys saw a hint of in this at the end of this video. And it was that angle that really drew us to doing it. It felt like fresh and like it hadn't really been done that way before, especially in kind of the YA space. And so I don't know, we came up with it and we were like, wow, this is something that we want to tackle, and it ended up going pretty well. So
Yeah.
I think it went awesome. It is a great retelling of it, and it's just so fun. And it's a ghost story, but you add all these other elements to it. And I love that the romance in it. He was pointing out on Twitch that the mom is so supportive, and it just has this lighthearted feel to it. And there are parts where you laugh out loud, and it's just great. So another question that came in is, as storytellers, what do you think draws readers to these older spooky legends, or just to the spooky horror genre in general?
Oh man. I mean, God, that's something that like writers of all stripes try to tackle, like even essay writers, like what draws us to horror and spookiness and all that. And I think there are a lot of good theories. I've read ones, where it's, it helps us work out our anxieties, or, we love to, horror doesn't exist unless people make stupid decisions, right? It's like obviously you're going to like go into like the dark basement when you absolutely shouldn't. And there is something, I think a little bit like, I want to say sort of like fun in a judgy way about watching other people do that. You're like, I would never make that mistake. And of course we all make dumb decisions. So I think there's psychological reasons like that, but beyond that, I think we are attracted to spookiness because it's mystery, right? And we love mystery. We love trying to puzzle things out as humans. We love encountering the unknown and the thrill that we get from brushing up against things we don't understand, or safely brushing up against things that are dangerous, feeling that, but then being able to, turn the TV off or shut the book and go back to hopefully a part of our life that isn't as scary.
And
Yeah.
I think there's an element too, especially like being drawn to these kind of like old legends, like a classic story like Sleepy Hollow is being drawn to like the idea of dark places being just beyond our vision. We live in a world now where there's very little that is kind of like just beyond our vision. And so you're looking back into a world where, you only could see as far as the edge of your oil lamp. And there's something really kind of alluring about that from a spooky stories perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the things I love about the way you like take these classic elements but kind of mix them all together and modernize it. And which leads us to another question of what are some of other influences for the story, horror or otherwise? I was picking up 80s teen film vibes a little.
80s teen film vibes is like Shannon's blood.
My
It's what is in
whole
her veins.
brand.
And so always that. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, stuff that we were definitely, when you're pitching a book, you put comps in it. So comparison, properties, creative things that are out in the world that you think audiences who like that will like this. And we threw in like Stranger Things, Hocus Pocus,
Absolutely.
yes, it's those kinds of things. So we definitely wanted it to have those vibes. Over the Garden Wall, the huge influence for us, just because it's such a love letter to fall, right, to autumn.
I think kind of classic Halloween in general, and by classic Halloween I mean like turn of the century to like kind of 30s and 40s Halloween aesthetics, if you will.
Yeah.
That definitely is an influence.
Yeah, our book's a lot more sort of like, nature ghost spooky than like slasher killer clown
Yeah, exactly.
spooky. There isn't any of that in there.
Yeah. This is you're wandering through a dark wood spooky.
Yeah, and just lots of any story which again harkens back to the 80s teen movie thing, right? Any story where a group of buddies get together and solve a mystery. So even like Scooby-Doo, like anything like that, right? Where it was just like, you form this band and it's like we now have come together in this found family and love each other enough to like risk going up against the supernatural for each other. Like both of us are really drawn to stories that have like a kind and courageous heart like that. And so I think that was a big influence too.
Yeah. And I think that's what draws readers to it so much too, because it's like there's always that idea of like, I want to just go do that and I want to be there like with them, even though there's this headless horseman chasing them, it seems fun and they're cool people to hang out with. So so what is y'all's creative process like? You have the idea and then where do you go from there? Because y'all are co-authors, so how does that work?
Yeah, for this book specifically.
Yeah, for this book.
For this book, yes. Yes.
The frog is growing stronger. So for this book, in terms of creative process, we had the initial idea and it started just rushing kind of quickly for us, that we were getting all these ideas for characters and sort of doing the really fun plug-in of, if we got the classic story, what does a modern Bron Bones look like? What does a modern Katrina Van Tassel look like? Sort of beating the story out that way. And then we did every step of the process together. So we made our outline together, and then from there, this was my first time ever working in graphic storytelling. I come from a fiction writing background, and so Shannon like printed up some like comic book script pages from another comic, and then some like panels like from somewhere that she found online.
Something that I do when I'm laying out an issue or laying out a graphic novel that I find really helpful if you are a writer is, once you have an outline, printing out a grid of essentially 2-page spreads. So just like a grid of rectangles next to each other.
Yeah.
And then breaking down your outline that way, and essentially like sitting down. We were working toward a page count, which not everybody does, but I do encourage having a page count in mind and kind of going through breaking down your outline this way, and like essentially giving pages to certain sequences and going like, oh, I'm going to give the sequence needs about 5 pages. It's going to need like 2 or 3 page turns. So it's going to need like 2 or 3 like dramatic moments of turning the page and reveal, and kind of breaking down the outline that way, so you know what you're essentially writing to when you sit down.
Yeah, and then once we had that, we began writing the actual script pages. So knowing like, the beginning of this page, Izzy's riding through the woods. By the end of the page, she's turning and looking over her shoulder. Page turn, we see the horseman. Blah. And so we actually sat on 2 different computers in the same Google Doc and just started writing the script that way, because I would get an idea for a bit of dialogue that I thought would work well in a scene, and so I'd want to get it out really fast while Shannon was finishing the opening descriptions of the scene or whatever, and we sort of kept just working in this document. There would be a lot of one of us would get excited and start scrolling, and it would just kind of start pulling the Google Doc page up, and we'd be like, babe, stop, I need to like finish typing. So there's like a little bit of like tug of war on the actual physical document, but other than that, we worked
really well.
Yeah, we worked really smoothly together. And it was our creative process is a lot of like, honestly, for this book, because it's a comedy, it was a lot of like how to make each other laugh, like trying to make each other laugh, trying to picture how we would make our artist Berenice laugh with like, a joke, a panel description, things like that. And so it was really joyful. A lot of the creative process juice came from just like humor, warm, fuzzy romance, feelings. It was just great. It was really great book to work on.
Of that, and I feel like that joy that y'all had during the process totally comes out in the finished product too.
Yeah.
So there's another question from Twitch. If the characters had to share a favorite spooky book, film, or game, what would it be? And that's about the characters, but I'm going to also ask you for both of you.
Oh, man, if they had to share one, they were all going to enjoy it together. Okay.
They were going to.
Once upon an October night dreary.
What did they?
Week of Mary. What would they?
They all have very different tastes, right? Like Izzy is so pragmatic and probably doesn't have a ton of time for video games specifically, but she also has a romantic streak to her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be super honest. I don't play video games, so any game recs are going to have to come from Shannon. But oh man, I don't know. It's like such a good question. I like almost have a hard time answering it.
We can think about the characters. My favorite like video game of all time is sort of a spooky game. It's not quite spooky. It is a spooky play because you're essentially alone in an old house in the rain, and it's very dark and scary the first playthrough. But it's a really beautiful game, and it's kind of my favorite game of all time, which is called Gone Home. And it came out in 2013, I want to say. And it is basically it is 1993, and you have come home a little early from your study abroad, and you arrive at a house that your parents moved into while you were at your study abroad, and there is no one home, and there's no indication of where your family is or where they've gone, and it's a dark, rainy night. It's like midnight, and no one is there when you've arrived home, and you have to figure out what happened. And it's just it's a really beautiful game. I
mean, which our gang clearly enjoys solving mysteries together. So I think they would enjoy that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking back to like stuff from my childhood that or teenhood, I guess, that I really loved. I was a huge scary stories to tell in the dark reader. Like I feel like if you're, in roughly our age group, it was I'm like looking at the book. I think it's Alan Schwartz was the writer, but he might have been the illustrator. And they were just it's basically urban legends that somebody did, like a quick retell of each of them, and then they just have these unbelievably creepy black and white drawings that accompany most of them. That was very formative for me. My sister and I, we would, should try to shut ourselves in the darkest room in the house. So it's like the bathroom with like pillows up against the like bathtub kind of thing. And we would like read them by flashlight and try to scare each other, even though we had read them a million times. So
Yes,
yeah,
to tell in the dark.
yeah,
And more scary stories. And yes,
yes, those ones.
Yes.
I have like the omnibus. I have like the whole like the big thick where they all got collected together. So yeah, that's both a personal me and, it might be a thing that they're kind of older teens in this book, but I think younger teens maybe would enjoy that one.
They probably just sit around and watch Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
We have another question from Twitch. One of my favorite things is media that exists at the intersection of various genres because it allows for a pull-push. What were your thoughts in blending romance and horror, and how do the two genres play off of each other?
I mean, I think they play off each other really beautifully for the same reason that the tunnel of love existed at old carnivals, right? That it's like you go on this dark ride with the hope that, the person you're sitting next to is going to like startle and cuddle into you. And it's, the stakes are so high in horror because, somebody needs saved, people need to save each other. And that does create for a lot of romance where it's, the characters can, court each other through the act of, like bravery by like trying to save each other from these big forces. And, that is much more romantic than, a sort of, unfraught, we met and we liked each other and we went on a date and everything went really smoothly, which functionally, all of us want to lead that sort of healthy progression of life where it's, not stressful, but that's why we turn to stories, is to watch somebody get to do something big. And so, yeah, blending romance and horror, in this instance felt very, very natural.
It comes from a long tradition of blending romance and horror, right? Like, which I think is also we have real affection for.
Yeah.
The Creature from the Black Lagoon-esque.
Yeah. And it's, it's also a great opportunity to modernize those tropes, right?
Yeah.
That it's like you don't just want a pure like damsel in distress where it's like, the feminine character gets saved by the masculine character because, of their feminine helplessness. So, there was a chance to invert those tropes. And a lot of times, if there is, apart from like the final girl in horror, a lot of times if you're a girl in horror, you're there to like get killed in your bra. And so getting to like do a scary story where that isn't the fate for some characters who identify as female also is really rich opportunity to write modern stories where you still have like the thrills and chills and the villain and the chase, but you can do new stuff with it. So yeah.
And so I'm curious, have you gotten responses from anybody from Sleepy Hollow that has read it, or have y'all been there to like promote it?
Yeah.
Or oh really?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we were in Sleepy Hollow last weekend. That was 2 weekends ago. Can't remember.
Time has no meaning. I don't know.
Anyway, we were in Sleepy Hollow for a couple of days and did a signing at a bookstore on Main Street in Sleepy Hollow for 2 days. And so we got to talk to a lot of people from Sleepy Hollow who had read the book, and including teenagers from Sleepy Hollow High School who loved it. And we were like, whew, oh, thank God.
That was the thing we were the most worried about writing the book was, oh, what if people from Sleepy Hollow, and very specifically like the teens, right, are, you guys got it wrong. This is terrible. We hate it. We're offended. It was the exact opposite. Everyone was so stoked. We had one kid who was like, I don't know, you guys made it cooler in the book. I wish it was like that here, which was adorable. But yeah,
All right, and we're back. And you guys were telling us that the teens of Sleepy Hollow love it, right?
Yes.
So
Thank you. Yeah, sorry everybody. The spookiest thing that happened today is our computer got haunted all of a sudden, and shut us out. Woo! The teens loved it. Yes, the happy ending of that story is the teens gave us a huge enthusiastic thumbs up, as did the adults. People who lived there were just saying they were really excited to see all these like local landmarks and to see the town represented so lovingly, which we did. We poke gentle fun at it, but it's all from a place of great sort of like affection and admiration for the town. And so yeah, barring somebody jumping on like Goodreads or something and being like, I've been going to Sleepy Hollow High for 4 years and I hated it. So far
we haven't gotten that yet.
So
but
far
who knows?
it's been great.
And is their mascot really the head
Yes.
at the high school?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
the horsemen.
Yeah, if you can Google photos of like Sleepy Hollow High School mascot, and you can see, and there's like the football team, and there is an actual like
Headless horseman.
person on a big black
love it.
horse with the gory cut off head, that he rides through the football games. Yeah, it's amazing.
That is awesome. From Twitch, somebody is asking for the best factoid that you got from Sleepy Hollowians. I don't even know how you would say that. From somebody from Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh, yeah, Sleepy Hollowians. The best factoid. Oh man. I mean, a really cool, interesting one is that there are still actual Van Tassels living in Sleepy Hollow that they have
like
moved.
we based Vicky basically on these real Van Tassels that give cemetery tours. They're very involved in the civic kind of like life there. Still.
So that is a very cool one that is just kind of silly but funny is there is a scene where Izzy has just moved to town and she's walking around the big Halloween kickoff festival, and we just gave our artist a list of like funny sight gags that would show that the town is like so crushed out on the horsemen. And just one of the sight gags, we were like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if it was like a pizza restaurant and the emblem for the pizza restaurant is a headless horseman, but he's holding like a pizza pie instead of a pumpkin or a head. And Berenice used that one as one of the ones, and then I was communicating with this wonderful Sleepy Hollow. She doesn't actually live there, she's just an enthusiast. I think she lives in this city or close by. On Instagram, I was communicating with her ahead of the book's release, and she had gotten an advanced review copy, and she was like, oh, and I love that you got the pizza restaurant emblem in there too. And so we accidentally,
that is a real place.
Wow.
And she sent me a photo of like the menu. She was like, no, it's real, look, it's actually there.
Well, and we put in like a dog with a horseman riding the dog as like, oh, this dog is a Halloween costume. This dog's wearing this Halloween costume, and it's a real thing. And we saw dogs wearing it like when we were in Sleepy Hollow this last time. We were like, okay,
we did it.
Of course, we did it. Let's see. There's a good factoid that we learned. Washington Irving, fanboy as he is, in his kind of like Washington Irving Sunnyside, which is like his kind of estate there now. That they do a lot of Washington Irving work there now. He bought that because it was the Van Tassel home, and so it was very much like, oh, I'm gonna buy this house.
Yeah. So
because the Van Tassels lived there.
He loved the town so much. He wrote the Headless Horseman story based on it. And then when the Van Tassel Manor came up for sale after he had become rich and famous, he was like, for me.
Yeah.
And he bought it and he like retired there. So yeah, it's a fascinating place to go like take a deep dive into, because it's like a very tiny corner of American history, but it's very like rich, and there's all these little threads that you can pull and kind of get more story once you start. I
love that. And like the town pride, I mean, a lot of us like where we live or where we grew up and we're proud of it, but that's just like the pizza restaurant. I love it. And the mascots.
Very fun.
Yeah.
It's really
cute.
fun, and we tried to put a lot of stuff in there that were kind of Easter eggs for the locals,
Mhm.
which they have noticed and liked
They
a lot.
loved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it ends with definitely on a cliffhanger. So can we expect a sequel, and when?
Cross your fingers. Things look good,
Yeah.
but the best thing you can do is buy the book. But yes, hopefully.
Yeah, we definitely have an idea for one, and have started sort of in the same way that we began the first one, going, "Ooh, but what if this, what if that," and kind of turning a new story this way and that. So if all goes well and you like the world of like publishing, we would love to do another one. So yeah, we'll see.
I want to know what happens next. I want to follow their journeys. So I
yay.
hope so.
Yeah.
So besides in-person visits, what was that? I know Izzy, they all go to Historical Society and research there. So did you guys do that too? Or what else did you do research wise?
We were supposed to go to Sleepy
Yeah.
Hollow for a research trip in summer 2020.
Womp
You know how
womp.
that
Yeah.
So no, we didn't get to do that.
Yeah, we basically spent lockdown writing the book, and by the time it lifted enough that like we, felt safe to travel and it would have been responsible to travel, like it was done.
It was done.
And so we did most of our research after that initial fun trip where we didn't know we were going to write the book. We did most of our research virtually. We had to do it all online.
Using library websites and using a lot of resources that are provided by libraries.
Yeah, so thanks to you guys. But yeah, we would love to, kind of a selfish reason for writing this book is we're like, oh man, we want to get in with like the Sleepy Hollow folks, and like we want the Historical Society to invite us to come tour the Historical Society palace and all that. So we would have loved to, but we didn't get a chance to do stuff like that. Yeah.
And so, Branden, I know you were always a fan of the Legend of Ichabod Crane, but do you guys have an idea of adapting in six as well, or was this just because it was a favorite always?
I mean, this one started because it was just a favorite always. Man, there are certainly like classic stories that I would like to adapt. Of course, none are springing to mind now, but yeah, I don't know. We don't have any plans to do one together.
We have other writing stuff together plans, but no adaptations.
Yeah,
on the horizon.
I mean, yeah, never say never, right? Something might come up, but yeah, this is the one that's in the works right now. So
more Hollow
right.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm curious, what's your favorite thing to do for Halloween, and what are you dressing as this year if you're dressing up?
Oh man. Well, favorite thing to do for Halloween here in beautiful Southern California, we have terrible fall weather.
Yes,
It is right now.
Horrible,
it is in the 90s, and then it'll drop down to being in the 60s for a few days, and we'll all get excited, and then it'll rocket back up. So that is terrible. It is an amazing place to live if you love to go to home haunts. So people who, have these really elaborate yard displays, or even, section off a part of their house and you can like walk through it. It's such a big thing out here. Sorry if I'm like explaining this to a bunch of you lovely folks who live here and already know, but there's this thing called the SoCal Haunts List, and it gets put together by like a grassroots organization every year, and they make a map of people who just have stellar home haunts that you can go do. And so there are so many good ones all around, even just like LA and Orange County, the county right below ours, that we have to take a few nights every October to drive to them and see them all. Like you can't possibly hit them all in one night.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's our favorite thing to do. I am never more active. My only social media is Instagram. I am the most active this time of year because I'm just like another album of Halloween decorations. So if you follow me on Instagram, look forward to that for the next week and a half. It's going to be all that all the time. Yeah.
If you're in Los Angeles, checking out the Bob Baker Halloween Spectacular. The Bob Baker Marionette Theater is a historical theater here in Los Angeles, the oldest continuously operating marionette theater in the United States. And they do amazing, fun, cool shows, and that's a great Halloween tradition as well. For our costumes, we're Eddie and Steve from Stranger Things this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
I found photos.
Oh
This is Branden as Eddie.
I love it
already. Once we had an amazing comic shop out here called Revenge of, threw us like unbelievable launch party for our book. They were so generous with like their time and resources and design and party throwing skills. It was incredible. And so we already wore our Halloween costumes on October 1st. Because we were like, this might be the biggest Halloween party we go to this month, so let's do it. And so we already busted out our Eddie and Steve. It's we already have the hair. It was just like there was no way we weren't gonna go there. And I know like every lesbian couple in the world is gonna do that this Halloween, but we just did it anyway to be in part of the group. So
real steady vibes this year.
That's awesome. I love it. And it's never too early to wear your Halloween costumes, I think. So, and I now want to move to Southern California because I had people complain about my Halloween decorations already. So apparently the 2 fog machines was a bit too much, but
I'm not here.
No,
here people go nuts.
People would be like, more fog. You call this fog? What are you doing?
Well, thank you guys so much. That's all the time that we have for today for this event, but I so want to thank you. It has been so delightful talking to you all and getting to see the dramatic reading. For anybody, go get the book, buy the book. It's in your libraries too. And I can't wait to read it again and to read the sequel. I want there to be a sequel. And I want to remind everybody that's joining us, all of our guests on Twitch, we have a survey and a giveaway with very cool prizes that includes different game bundles, comics, or spooky media. And our next event is going to be at 5 o'clock Central Time, and we're going to be playing the game Don't Starve together. So we look forward to seeing you there. And a huge, huge thank you to Shannon and Branden and to Boom as well for you guys being here.
Thank you all.
Thank
this
you all
was
so
amazing.
much.
Thank you. All right.